Welcome to Into the Fire. It's February the 23rd, 2024, Ronnie. This is episode number 11.
It's crazy. Already
Can
11
you believe
of them.
it? We haven't given up yet. We have not given up yet. We're excited to be here, and we appreciate everybody that has tuned in and messages us on a regular basis. What's been going on with you, buddy? Anything?
Nothing crazy. I came and saw you this week over at the office. Margot and I had to come over, and there was a guy that, again, as we always talk about, First 48 fan stopping by the office. And so according to Margot, he asked that I come over also. So I joined her and hung out with you guys for a bit, but it was actually pretty quiet at our office this past week. How about you guys?
Oh, I've just been working, I don't know. It's just been kind of a blur this week. I've just been trying to stay busy. I'm doing a little cold case stuff, and I'm doing some stuff on my current cases, etc. To Kathleen, you're a regular viewer each and every week. I want to appreciate you coming in here. We've got the Spice King, Doug Satchery is actually, he's watching us. He's watching us live, Ronnie. That's a big deal.
There you go.
He's a super good person. But several, I don't know, nothing really big. Tomorrow I'm going to be I'm going to be speaking anyway at a youth violence group tomorrow for about probably an hour. There's going to be some NFL player that's going to be from the Chiefs that's going to show up there as well. So I'm sure all the kids, there's going to be kids from 12 to 18 that are going to be present for this thing. And you know me, I'm going to be showing up with some real life scenes and stuff like that, but that's all been pre-approved. And so, it's going to be a lot of fun, hopefully. And, I'll give away some prizes, stuff like this.
Ooh, yeah.
Spinners, things along that nature. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'm sure the kids will go crazy. But that's what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm going to be doing that for a couple hours tomorrow. And, I do that a lot. So we do a lot of community outreach stuff, and we get into the community and we speak quite a bit for those of you that are watching. It just kind of comes with the job, and I actually am kind of the one that gets tasked with a lot of that. So aside from that.
Yeah, I was going to say real quickly, you mentioned the viewers over there sending in comments already, and hi to them. I wanted to briefly say last week, I didn't have a chance to answer a couple that jumped out to me. Sally, I didn't write down the last name, but she was asking about me not drinking coffee and being a cop for so long. And my answer to that was I've just never liked coffee. So that's why I've never got into that. And then there was another guy, Mr. Barr, made some comment about saying hi to us. And I'm not sure if it's the guy that I actually went to high school with. He was a year or two older than me, but if that's him, or even if it's not him, hi to that guy. So anyway,
and I want to say hi to
I do appreciate all the comments, and we read them as Jason often says, we read all these comments. And so keep them coming in. And if you guys got questions, then put them up there.
Yep. And say hello to, I'm going to say hello to Mr. and Mrs. Leatherman. I've just learned that they're now regular watchers. So up there in the great state of Kansas, they're tuning in, and we appreciate that. And I really dig your parents, Ronnie. So yeah, that's great.
You just made my mom's day. So thank you.
Good. We'll have to set up another green eggs and ham reading that's what Ronnie and I used to do up in northeastern Oklahoma. Is we'd sit down and read books to kids, and they were always the Dr. Seuss books, when it was a lot of fun, and I miss that. So we should do something like that maybe this next year or something. That would be a good time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm trying to think. There was something else I was going to mention real quick. Well, I don't know. It may come to me. I don't remember what it was, but this is one of those days that I got to tell you, this was a tough one for me. I reached out. Let me first point out a guy by the name of Rick Salcido. Throw his picture up there. He's a retired Orlando detective. Man, there he is. They should change his name to Rick Suave. Super good guy. I've known Rick for years. We've spoke in Columbus, Ohio together. We've spoke up in Michigan together. We spoke in Indiana together. He was kind enough to hold on to my giant big screen TV that I won in Indiana, and he protected it for me until I arrived. It was a door prize that I won one time. He's just good people. I've been all over the country with this guy. And he's gotten me to Orlando to speak. I've gotten him to Canada to speak and things like that. So actually, when I'd been talking to him, I've been trying to get him to come on here in the future. And I think right now he's just a little shy. But But he is going to be on the show one day. I'm going to make sure that happens, and I won't take no for an answer. But one of the people that he had told me about is he told me about Lori Fiorino, who he was his partner for a few years at least. And they both worked in the special victims unit. And that, for those of you that don't know what that is, that's basically, it's the way, what they call back in the old days, they used to call it the sex crimes unit, and today they call it the special victims unit, which is it's a better way to put it, really. Actually, I actually like the name better. But both of them, both Lori and Rick, I know Rick does a motherload of training with respect to training other detectives throughout the state through the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, which is also known as FDLE. He does a lot of training with them. I don't know if Lori does or not. I'm sure we're going to learn about that here in a quick minute. But let me go ahead and read her bio. Do you have anything else before I get to that, Ronnie?
No, I would just agree with what you said. And as you kind of said last week, you and I don't talk as much as we used to when we were obviously working together. And so you just kind of told me about this. I don't remember if it was yesterday. I think it was maybe even yesterday when I found out who we were going to have this week. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit different than I think most of the other episodes we've had, but I think it's going to be informative and hopefully helpful to people out there.
Right. And I'll tell people up front, and I'll say it right now, a little disclaimer for this episode. I know that last week I had said, we don't do doom and gloom. It's all positive. We're going to, the very next week, what do we have for you? We've got heavy stuff. This is heavy, but this is a true crime show. So there's going to be times that we're going to talk about things that are real and things that are actually really happening out there. And I think that this is a topic that when Rick told me about these two, who is going to be Yanna and Lori both. He said that these people they're just great. I spoke to him a few days ago, and it is heavy, heavy stuff. But I know that Lori and Yanna are going to bring it home, and they're going to show the value of what talking about this is all about. So let me tell you about Lori. Lori was a law enforcement officer employed by the Orlando Police Department since February of 2000. In March 2020, Lori retired from the Orlando Police Department, where the final 14 years were served in the Special Victims Unit as an Internet Crimes Against Children detective. For people that are in law enforcement, that's also referred oftentimes as INDICAC. I think that's what it is. But anyway, so Lori became the agency's expert in this field through the years and even after her retirement. Lori continued to educate others regarding crimes against children. Lori has taught at the Police Academy in Orlando, Florida, as well as co-facilitating courses for law enforcement with Rick Salcido, also known as Rick Suave, in child sex crimes. 1 year after retiring from the Orlando Police Department, Lori returned to the Orlando Police Department as a contract employee for further assistance contract employee to further assist with and share her expertise regarding it's ICAC, I'm sorry, Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. And Lori continues to work and help the new detective with cyber tips sent by the National Center for Missing and Exploiting Children on a part-time basis. So Amanda, throw up this news story that I happened to find about Lori. I like this story.
You know, he sentenced all of us to a life sentence, and I think that's appropriate for him.
Sheila Owen and her family have waited 18 years to see Joe Calvert put behind bars. Calvert took Tricia Phipps to New Mexico in 2002 and killed her. Owen says they finally have some justice now, but not closure.
It's bad enough that you murder, but not knowing exactly where she is. We still don't have.
Hey, you remember when I told you, you remember, hang on a minute. I told Lori, I said, don't worry, chill out, relax. We're going to have some screw ups. It happens every week. And the reason for that one, Amanda, it's not your fault. Amanda, basically what happened is that's from last week. And Amanda was taking the night off. So I won't blame her. So good. Hopefully you got the other video. And if you do, then throw that up there if you don't mind.
It looks like that's the only video she had.
Okay. Then never mind. We will bring Lori on right now and we will talk. That's okay. Don't worry about it, Amanda. I sent it, but it happens. Don't worry about it. Here is Lori Fiorino. Lori, so sorry we didn't get to bring your.
That's okay. You told me that before we started. Don't worry.
And the thing is, I'm glad I did, because this is live. This is not only live throughout the country, it's throughout the world, other than the Eastern Bloc stuff. For the rest of the civilized world, we are live. So things are going to happen, and it happens from time to time. No big deal. But at the end of this, if you were interested in that, you could check out Lori on you just type in her name and you can check her out on Google, and she's got some great news stories. Well, Lori, tell us about yourself a little bit. How did you end up getting involved on the police department, and how did you end up in that specific specialty?
So prior to going into law enforcement, I was a child protective investigator with the Department of Children and Families in the state of Florida. So from very early on, I always had a passion of wanting to help protect children. After I did that for like 5 years, I decided that I no longer wanted to remove children from homes, but instead I wanted to put the bad guys in jail. So I went ahead and I started with the Orlando Police Department in 2000. I want to say for the first 7 years, I was in patrol, but you guys know how it is. You know, a lot of times in patrol, when child abuse calls go out or rape calls go out, a lot of people will find something else to do, but I was always that one to pick up those calls, just to try to make a name for myself in the agency as somebody that wanted to work those types of cases. After 7 years in patrol, I went ahead and was transferred to the back then, like you said earlier, it was crimes against children. There was a crimes against children unit and there was a sex crimes unit. And then they merged and that became the special victims unit. And from there, I pretty much tried to work, all of the child sex crimes cases that were given to me on top of some child abuse cases. And then I got interested in the world of ICAC, which is the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. And that is like all of the child exploitation that you see online, all of the child sexual abuse material that we also know as child porn, all of those types of cases. Prior to that, though, is when I was working the majority of the child sex crimes cases, like the one that we're going to discuss today.
There's a guy that we worked homicide with for a year, Rob McCoy, and before that he did the online stuff, and I've told him a couple times I appreciate that he did that. I couldn't do what you guys did, and people would often say that to Jason and I about working murders and stuff, and it's its whole animal there. But that kid stuff that you guys dealt with, I don't think I could have done that.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. Rick and I were partners for many years. We started to co-facilitate the child sex crimes class that we offer. And as I retired, I still helped out until I phased out of it just more and more. And then I ended up going back anyways to the Orlando Police Department part-time.
And from what I remember Rob saying at one point, did you ever have to go to DC and like talk to a psychiatrist or there was some deal that he had to do that they had to go basically just make sure that they weren't getting messed up?
No, I believe the only ones that have to do that are the federal agents, and if you're on a task force with the federal agents.
And he was on some task force, so I'm sure that's probably what that was. Okay.
Yeah, the task force, the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, is not a federal task force. It's a task force just for all agencies. Okay.
Well, that reminds me, when we talked a few days ago, Lori and I did, and I spoke with Yanna as well. And I got to tell you, Lori, when I got off the phone with you, I was freaking depressed. And I just, my heart goes out to Yanna for sure. And I think that everybody else that's going to watch her today, their hearts are definitely going to go out to her. I think that it's absolutely despicable and disgusting that we're even talking about this type of crime, not to mention the fact that some of the statistical data that I found out in reference to this happen to be that well, number one, 93% of these victims, and some of these statistics may be off, give or take a percentage point here and there, but from what I found is that 93% of the victims are going to be known to the victim, which is real similar to that of homicides. 95% of ours generally are known to the victim. 7% are strangers. That actually surprised me a little bit.
Yep.
Because, you always kind of get raised, hey, don't talk to strangers. Watch out for this guy. Watch out for that person. When in fact, most of the people are people that are known to the victims.
Yeah, it's like over 90%, like you said, are known. I want to say 30 to 40% are family members. Over 50% is someone known to the family. But all across the board, it's usually somebody that they trust. Absolutely. And this young lady that we're going to meet here shortly, I met her when she was 8 or 9 years old, and she's this grown woman now. And, for me, like, this is why I did this job. This is the reason. I can't be more proud of her. Like, I can't even express how proud. It makes me emotional just to think about how far she's come.
So we're going to bring her out in a quick minute. I want to mention this other couple of statistics in reference to this too, just to kind of bring people's awareness up on this, is that 1 in 9 girls, and of course, if you look around at different statistical sites and so forth, they're kind of around in this area, but it's stated on this one, which is a national site, that 1 in 9 girls and 1 in 20 boys under the age of 18 experience sexual abuse or assault. 82% of these victims are under 18 or under 18 are female, and females ages 16 to 19 are 4 times more likely than the general population to be victims of rape, attempted rape, or sexual assault, which I think is absolutely crazy. The other thing is that about 4 times more likely to develop symptoms of drug abuse, 4 times more likely to experience PTSD as adults, and 3 times more likely to experience a major depression or a depressive episode as adults, which I think is I've understood. I can see why that would be the case. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
So let's
I read something, Jason, that said that every 9 minutes a child is sexually assaulted.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's just absolutely disgusting. And that's just the ones that we know about, because what is it? Roughly around 30% are the ones that actually report these things. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
Well, I was saying that basically it was something along the lines of that only like 30% of these roughly are actually even reported to the police.
Yeah, I read something that said like close to 73% of victims usually don't report at all. And then there was another number that I saw that was like 45% of child victims, usually within 5 years, after 5 years, they will report. So it's such an underreported crime, which is why, if you notice, the statistics are all very old statistics. Like all the statistics that I see are just many years old. So I feel like the fact that it's so underreported is what makes the numbers so wacky at times.
Well, Yanna speaks with Lori. They're a team. They really are a team. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
You're a team when you're speaking and so forth.
Yes.
Let's bring Yanna out and welcome her. Thanks for being here, young lady.
Hi.
Hello.
Can I put my phone sideways? I feel like I'm out of the club.
Well, if you can, maybe try to flip it. Maybe it'll flip with us. Try it and let's see what happens.
Let me make sure my auto repeat. Still out of the club.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Okay.
Listen,
perfect.
I cannot thank you, myself and Ronnie, and really the show, the people, Amanda behind the curtain as well. We really can't thank you enough for being here. It takes a tremendous amount of courage for you to come on here, and really, I'm proud of you. I know Lori is beyond words proud of you, and we as police, that you got 3 cops in the room with you, so we're all really. We're with you on this. So tell us kind of how this all started for you.
Yeah, it definitely starts early on in my life. And I think that part of how I was raised prior to being introduced to my sexual predator, I was raised in a particular way where I did as I was told. I grew up in a Hispanic household, and it was very much, you don't question the authority. When they tell you to do something, you respect your elders. And so I was already kind of instilled in that when I did meet the perpetrator. But essentially, my mom had separated from my father when I was 3 years old. I just turned 3. And he ended up being deported to another country. So I grew up essentially just with her for the next 2 years. She did go to medical school while she was working to support me and my 2 older brothers. And so that is where she met her then boyfriend, Onyx. And he ended up very fastly making an impression on her to the point where she wanted to introduce him to me and my older siblings, and eventually ask if it was okay if he would move in. So he would become her live-in boyfriend. And it was the first time I had lived with any kind of man around my mom other than my father, my biological father. And so all I really noticed was that she was really happy. And it was the first time I had seen her happy in a long time. So when she asked if he could move in, I was 5 years old at the time. And I was game for it. I said, yeah, he seems to make her really happy. I'm cool with it. And so I said yes. My eldest brother said yes. And then it was my brother, the middle brother, one right above me. He said no. But even with him saying no, my mom, I'm not sure if they had a separate conversation, but felt comfortable enough to move him in. So from then on, it was really just bonding with him. We would go on family vacations to the beach together. He would go on to teach me how to ride a bike and how to fly a kite. And he also developed a relationship with my brothers. He would go fishing with them. He was essentially our father figure. From there on, it was not long afterwards. I would say about maybe a few months. It's hard to tell because I was really young, but maybe a few months after knowing him was the first time that he and I were alone together in my mother's shared bedroom with him, and she would work full time. He worked kind of part-time construction jobs, and so he had a lot of free time. And so he would spend those time watching us. And one of these times I was watching TV in the room with him, and my brothers, I believe, were either outside or in their shared bedroom. And while watching TV, he reached for my pajama bottoms, and instantly I was just kind of taken aback a little bit. I was a little skeptical, but again, I was told to trust my elders, so I trusted him. And when I asked him, what he was doing, he put his finger over his mouth and said, "Shh, we can't talk about this. This is something that has to stay between you and I." And I'm 5 years old at the time. And he said if I were to ever tell anyone about it, that he would be taken away and separated from the family, and the family would go back to being broken again. And he asked me if I wanted that. And I said, no, I don't want that. So he said, okay, well, then this has to stay between you and me. And then he proceeded to perform oral on me. And that became a routine. Pretty much every morning, because I was the youngest, and my brothers were at least 2 years older than me. The eldest was 5 years older than me. We were in different school groups. So they would often go to school earlier than I did, which left about an hour to just me and my stepdad, while my mom was already at work. And so every morning, it was essentially the same routine. He would take me from my room, never in my room, but take me from my room to their shared bedroom, and would either try to perform oral on me or make me perform oral on him. And then he would take me to my bus stop afterwards and send me off to school. And that's where I would learn my timetables and, basic English. And then that just became routine for the next 4 years. In 2010, so I was going to turn 10 that year, is when it was President's Day. And my eldest sibling, the one that's 5 years older than me, he ended up looking for me. I guess we had to do laundry while my mom was at work. She still had to work on President's Day. But we had the day off from school, so he wanted me to do the laundry with him. And I was in my stepfather's bedroom, same morning routine. So at that point, I'm under the covers, and my pajama bottoms are about down to my knees, and I'm hiding while my brother is looking for me to do the laundry. At that point, my stepfather was under the covers completely, head under the covers and everything. And my brother kind of asked what was going on. That was when my stepfather ended up telling him that I was sleeping, and not to disturb me, that he was going to go take a shower, and that I was sleeping. But my eldest brother was not satisfied with this answer, so he ended up coming over to my side of the bed, and he asked me to remove the sheets. Even though I closed my eyes, I pretended like I was sleeping. I did everything that he had said I was supposed to be doing. And my brother told me to remove the sheets. And I told him, I'll be right there in a minute. Like, just give me a second. And I could tell he really knew something was wrong in his face and the tone of his voice. And so I just looked him in the eyes with a very pleading expression. I just told him, please, no, just go. And then he left the room. I quickly pulled up my pajamas and ran out to the living room to just start doing the laundry as if nothing was happening. My stepfather was in the shower at this point in time. And from what I had knew at the time, my brother went out into the apartment hallway and he called my mom. That was the first thing that he did, was he called my mom. I was told at the time that he also followed up with calling the police that same day, but was later informed by Lori that it ended up being the day after that it was reported. I was not given a rape kit the first day. I was taken by my mom to her boss, which was my pediatric doctor at the time, just kind of keep me somewhere that wasn't at the house. And that was also where she decided to take out her own justice on him. She did hit him a lot. Some of it was in front of me. But essentially, that was where she kind of took me to my bedroom first and locked the door while he was still out and asked me, did this happen? Did this happen? At first, I denied it. I was just really scared and sad. And she told me, she's like, you're not going to get in trouble. You're not going to get in trouble. Just tell me. And I broke down and sobbed and told her, yes, he did do what she's saying. And he proceeded to open my bedroom door, even though it was locked. And he tried to come inside. And that's where she struck him across the face. And he fell to his knees and he looked at me and he said, please tell her it's not true. Please tell her, I'm begging you, like, look at what she's doing to me. And that was when she took me to the bathroom, and then they settled whatever they were doing out in the living room. And then he left. At the time, I thought he was being arrested at that time, but it wasn't until the day after. But he left, and then she took me to that doctor's office.
So when we talked the last time, you had told me that you had undergone, from that point, fortunately, he went to jail. And just as a reminder, just as a reminder to the people here, this is something that Yanna speaks about often with other survivors of this type of stuff to help them along. So I don't want people to have the wrong idea that we're basically parading her out here to I mean, this is something that she does, and this is like a public service announcement, honestly, for her to get the word out there and to let others know that you know, there are those out there that are true survivors, and there is life after that. I don't want to even say that, honestly. Is that true, Yanna?
So,
to an extent?
Absolutely. I believe so. And I'm a living testament now to that. But it also goes without saying that there were trials and tribulations even afterwards, to where I almost wasn't here today. So definitely a survivor of what happened, and also a survivor of surviving the incident. So yeah, for sure.
So Ronnie, she told me, go ahead.
How old was he?
He was, I believe, 36 or 37 when he was caught.
Okay.
Now
ahead, Jason.
you underwent from the time of his arrest, and we talked about this. From the time of his arrest, it was 18 months, right, until you actually went to court and testified.
Yeah, so I
tell
was
us what
9 when he was arrested, and then I didn't testify until I was 11.
And what was that experience like to actually testify at that point?
A lot of mixed emotions, because like I said, I did go through therapy. So I think that, I know that my testimony would have been significantly different had I testified right after it had happened, or, as close as possible to the incident. But given that I had already gone through and graduated from therapy at that point, I started to comprehend what had happened. And so I think my testimony was more driven by anger towards him rather than driven by just fear and completely a fresh recollection of everything that happened. It was just get in and get out. I was really nervous, and I just wanted to complete the testimony without showing him any kind of fear or that he got to me in any sort of way.
And Lori, you were the main detective on her case. Is that correct?
Yes.
What was the experience, and so she has this trial, and essentially because of a couple of delays, maybe, and this is the type of crime, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lori, because, we deal with homicides. This is not, I'm going to speak for Ronnie. Ronnie, this is not our cup of tea, right?
No,
we just don't deal with this kind of stuff. So just for the general citizen, just we as detectives, I'm learning here, this would be way out of our element. Okay. So forgive me if I say anything that's just weird or wrong, but so you it's really, a lot of these cases are a he said, she said, or they said kind of deal, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And in this particular case, her mom took her to a doctor. That's something we would never, like, if a child is molested, sexually abused, call the police and let us take it from there. By taking a whole day out of the picture and taking her to a doctor, that could have very well messed up any type of forensic evidence on the body to begin with. We had, as she said, an oral situation here where he was performing oral on her. So it wasn't penetration, so to say. So immediately we would have had to take action to get that forensic evidence from her body. And that just didn't happen. So we went into trial with this beautiful little girl, right, who was absolutely credible, never veered from her story, never changed her story, and no physical evidence whatsoever. And 18 months later, once she had already been to therapy, so the emotion was gone when she got on the stand as well. And that happens a lot with our child cases, unfortunately, because they do take a long time to get to trial at times.
Right.
Was the brother a witness who found her under the covers?
I don't remember. Okay.
He did, yeah.
Good question. Yeah, I didn't remember if he was or not. Yeah, because he actually walked in during during the act, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then one other question I had was, Lori, I guess for you, how soon after that initial, the next day is before the cops get called, and then she's taken to the doctor. How long after that happened did you get involved? Because I assume it would be similar to Tulsa. Patrol's going to get the initial call.
Right.
The reports can get made. You guys would get called. What was that process down there?
In this particular case, it wasn't that day. It was, I believe, the following day when she got home from school. Like, she actually went to school that next day, right? Didn't you? Am I just okay? So when she got home that next day, Patrol did respond out, and anytime Patrol responds out to anything, obviously that's acute in nature, they have to contact a detective before they leave to the scene. And I actually responded when she got home from school.
Okay.
That day.
Now, Yanna, what happened? What was the verdict?
So he was not convicted over lack of evidence. Yeah. And
oftentimes, and Lori may be able to address this, oftentimes the jury they come out and the judge tells them, hey, you can speak to the police or the prosecution if you choose to when you walk out of the room, or you can choose not to. Did the jury actually take an opportunity to speak and tell you what happened? What was their decision making on that? No,
that didn't happen. No.
Well, I would have liked to have heard.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
How was the defense attorney during the trial? Was he, quote unquote, doing his job and giving his client the proper defense that you should get from a defense attorney, or was he just trying to twist everything around and play games and be the shady car salesman that you sometimes hear about that can happen?
I'll let you go ahead and answer that. I was only allowed to be in there when I took the stand, and then I wasn't allowed to go back in until the end. But I do know that in interviewing him, he denied it throughout the entire interview. And we interviewed him for a long time. Even though we heard some inconsistencies, he stuck to the fact that he never touched her at all. Yeah.
Okay. And Yanna, what was your opinion of the defense attorney?
So I do remember it just kind of started out with him asking me basic questions about school and kind of dropping my guard down. And it was. Yeah. And then he kind of struck in with, it was twisting the story to essentially that my mom was coaching me to say this, and that my mom was the one who was trying to get back at him because he had cheated on her with his previous wife before her. And so his stepsons from that previous marriage actually testified to how they knew my mother and how she wasn't trustworthy. But little did they know at the time, and even Lori didn't know at the time, that those stepsons also sexually abused me. They were teenagers when I was 5, 6, so like 15, 16.
And the story doesn't stop. Oh, go ahead, Lori.
One of the fears that Yanna had was that DCF was going to remove her from her home if she did tell the entire true story of everything that was happening to her. That fear held on to her for a very, very long time.
Yes. So like you said, it didn't stop there. There were a lot of things that happened behind the scenes. So like Lori said, I never changed my story because my story was as true as it was towards him. But there was more to the story behind the scenes that I didn't bring up. I also felt like it was just completely separate from the case, which now as an adult, I'm realizing they were very well connected. But my own, the middle brother that said he did not want him to live there was also sexually abusing me in the home in the same ways, kind of just no penetration, but oral and physically touching. And he essentially never said that he saw anything when it came to the case itself. He did not testify. He did not say he had anything to do with it. He just said, I didn't see anything. I've never seen anything. It seems fine. But behind the curtains, he would, out of curiosity, I'm not sure, he was 2 years older than me. He would touch me when we shared a bedroom together. He would touch me when no adult was present, usually at night.
What happened to
that brother? Was later on arrested for molesting a 12-year-old girl. Is he a registered sex offender now, Yanna?
For life, he is, yes. He was convicted. They found DNA evidence on that case for him towards that 12-year-old girl. He was 18 at the time. And he actually just completed his 6 years probation that he got from that. And he was incarcerated for 6 months.
And is that was your biological brother or stepbrother?
Yes, biological.
Okay. And then
that seems a little light to me.
Yeah. What happened to the stepdad? What's his story nowadays? I'm sure you don't really care or want to know about him, but after the trial, was there any drama or anything like that?
Well, we got a restraining order on him. That was essentially all that we could do because of the conviction. But from there, I had gotten information from my mom. Definitely, she would be paranoid about, where do we need to live? She told me at the time that he had moved back to Puerto Rico, where he was originally from. And then one of the times that Lori had actually had me a class for, I believe it was OPD. I was 15 at the time, and she had me go up to the podium to tell my story like I am now. And then I had said, I felt so much relief that he wasn't in the same state, so I could drop kind of the PTSD and paranoia about him being around. And then my mom was actually there that day as well, and she went up on the podium after me, and she corrected me and said that he had moved back to Florida. So he currently resides in Florida still.
Well, you're an incredibly well-spoken young lady, and I can't say enough about how proud I am of you to be able to speak about this, because this is something that is just so ugly that it really breaks my heart for you. It really does. And so what's life like for you now? What's really came out of this as a positive thing for you?
Right. So I'm back in therapy, thanks to Lori. And that I think has significantly, it's definitely the reason why I'm here today to speak with you. Lori's been great help on carrying my story forward. And so I really appreciate her for that. But as far as outside of this being my entire story and carrying it with me day to day, I try my best to make sure that I still stay focused on my own goals in life and not let this keep me back from those goals. And so I'm an artist. I like pretty much all kinds and forms of art. And while I have about 5 years customer service experience and I love helping people, my passion has always been art. So doing that and incorporating that has helped me just really keep my own identity and feel like this is not me, but it's a part of me.
And hopefully there aren't any kids listening to this, but what would you say to the people who are listening, who are parents and have small children? What is something that they can do or look for or ask? Do you think, looking back on it, I know it'd be tough since you were so young, but is there anything that would have maybe changed how you would have approached it and talked sooner or talked differently or anything like that?
Right. It gets really difficult because, like I said, just the way that I was raised in my household was that very don't question your elders. So I think that if I wasn't just initially, that was instilled in the way that I functioned, I definitely might have been more comfortable with saying, no, this is wrong. I can tell this is wrong. But at the time, it was just not even programmed within me to think otherwise. It was just, that was my new normal. So while I was suffering at the time of it, it didn't feel like suffering. It felt like that's how other people live.
What about you, Lori? Sorry, Yanna. Lori, is there anything from the cop angle that you would suggest for people?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the first things that I want to bring up is Yanna had mentioned that she's supposed to trust her elders. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard that in other investigations where I would ask a child, like, is there a reason why you didn't tell your mom, or why did you do what that person asked you to do? And I've heard the same thing, that my mom always told me that I'm supposed to respect and do what my elders tell me to do. So that's something important to keep in your mind if you have children, maybe choose your words a little different. As far as teaching your kids, we know that a lot of parents teach their children names of their private parts. They make up names. We would ask that you just give them the names that your child has a vagina, your child has a penis. Give them those names. And the whole stranger danger thing. Well, we know that people that molest children are usually somebody that the kid knows. So the whole stranger danger speech isn't going to do anything for these kids in these situations. So it's important to teach them early on how to wash themselves, how to bathe themselves, how to shower, how to clean themselves, so that they don't have to rely on somebody else doing that for them once they get to a certain age. There's so many things that a parent can can do to kind of just give them that education early on and continue to build on it. Through the years I've worked with, here it's called the Child Protection Team. And the people at the Child Protection Team are amazing. The forensic interviewers, they're amazing. And they have children, and they tell me all the time, yeah, when I'm giving my 3-year-old a bath, we're talking about the penis and the vagina, and we're making it a comfortable conversation. So those are just some good things to maybe kind of keep in the back of your mind if you have children.
One of the things that I'll mention real quick, the internet's a great thing. It's got a lot of real positive things to it, but it's also got a really dark, ugly side, and because of that, I think that's caused a lot of people to turn into people that, I don't know. I think that there are people that are exposed to a lot more violent and horrible things on the internet today than days of old. What would you suggest? I think Ronnie might have hit on this a little bit, but what is something, Lori? What would you want to change if you could change anything in this realm? If you could get into, I don't know, what would you want to change for the better?
You mean as far as child sexual abuse or this specific case?
Well, child sexual abuse, honestly. Just what do you think that they could do to make things better?
I think just awareness. I've asked, and maybe Yanna could answer this here now, but I've asked her in the past, a lot of times when you're in school, people come in and they talk about these things in class sometimes. And I've asked her, what could have been done differently to make you open up about everything that was going on? And what would your answer to that be, Yanna?
Yeah, so I've said it before, and I feel the same way. I felt really ostracized in my experience, even though now we can talk about the statistics and know that it does happen to pretty much anyone you would know. And at the time, I just felt so alienated. I didn't feel like I would tell my mom constantly, I don't feel human. I don't feel normal. Something's wrong with me. And it wasn't that. It was just that no one around me felt comfortable having that kind of conversation. And so often I was told, we can't talk about that happened, even though there's a public case on it and everything like that. And so it felt like I was kind of two split identities. At home, I get to feel it, and then at school, I can't. And these friendships that I had didn't feel authentic. They didn't know this big part of what recently happened to me. So I feel like if given, the dedicated time within a class, one that obviously doesn't impair the learning experience, but that is in itself a great learning experience and tool that they could all use to, if they know a friend and that friend shares that experience with them, they can feel comfortable, telling an adult and getting that friend that help that they need. And that can be an uncomfortable situation that people just aren't educated enough on.
Yeah, I feel like the awareness component of it, Jason and Ronnie, is the most important thing, especially for kids. To have it put to them in a childlike manner so that it becomes normal, and maybe more victims will come forward instead of never coming forward.
Right.
I guess specifically in Orlando or Florida, since that's where you did it, one of the things that Yanna talked about and was kind of told to her is, hey, they're going to take me away from the family. If in other cases, how often did that happen? If the mom or dad, whichever one was the non-offender in that situation, were they allowed, or are they regularly allowed to keep the child, or do they have to go into DHS type custody?
The only kids that I ever saw removed that were sexually abused, if the child was with one parent, but that parent wasn't protecting the child and allowing the perpetrator to still have access, then in those cases, absolutely, DCF will come in and remove, either place with family or in foster care. In Yanna's situation, this is what an adult was telling her was going to happen. And that's why she truly believed that was going to happen to her.
Right. So
Okay.
just to clarify a little bit, when I was told that, DCF would come and separate the family, it didn't have to do with the case that Lori had worked on. It had to do with when she found out what my brother was doing to me. She
Okay.
actually had found that situation out, and instead of reporting it and going through the right authorities, she thought she could take it upon herself to keep us separated, and that would solve that, which it did not.
Okay.
What is your relationship like right now with your mom and your brother?
So I do not have a relationship with either one of my brothers, but I do still, the only family member I would say I have a connection with would be my mother. And it's been trying for sure. I did have to go no contact for some time, but definitely her coming forward to me and just completely apologizing was, I think, a huge step, because I had never gotten an apology my entire life from her. And so I think, in part, she, not in this situation, but she has been victimized herself. And so this just felt like a whole reliving. I could see the pain on her that she was going through. And so I did have to take time to recognize my own pain before I could connect with her again and try to see where, even though it's not a normal mother-daughter relationship, where we can find common ground to this day.
Was there someone who, I guess for lack of better terms, took your family's place that you leaned on, whether it's a friend or anyone like that, teachers?
Yeah. So as far as friends, I definitely have a really, really close friend, and she has shared her own story and experience in the foster care system as well. And so she and I definitely relate on a lot, and she has really been a rock for me since I've been 13 years old. And then my current boyfriend was definitely, he was a huge part of it at the time. He was my boyfriend when I was from 13 to high school, like graduation. And then we separated. He went off to college, and then 3 years later, we found ourselves back together. And so it's definitely been a relief not having to retell the story and connect and try to find somebody that can handle that level of, like you said, getting dark. And so he's been a rock throughout this as well for me.
We got 1 minute and 15 seconds left. Lori, do you have anything else that you want to share before we have to get off of here?
Just that I love this girl, and the sky is the limit for her. And I'm just so proud of you, Yanna. So proud of you.
Yeah, I echo that. I definitely see what she sees in you, and I am beyond impressed. And you're incredibly well spoken. I can tell you're a very intelligent young lady, and the sky is the limit for you. No doubt in my mind.
Thank you.
And do you have anything that you want to say before we have to cut off of here? Anything, any last words?
Just that I really, really hope that anyone out there that is listening that has also been through the same experience can take something from this. And if anything, that you're not alone. And that's the biggest thing that I want to share is you are not alone.
Yeah. I really appreciate you being here. And for those that are listening, if maybe they're faced with a situation like this that are not, of course, in the Orlando area, because there's people from all over the world that are watching, what is somebody, where should they turn? I mean, if they don't know where, I know that you can call 911, but beyond that, if somebody doesn't feel comfortable with a police officer showing up there at their door, where can they turn right now to notify somebody? Lori?
911.
Call 911. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
No, see, that's my ignorance. I don't know. That makes great sense.
Yeah.
Listen,
Or an adult that will call 911 for you. Yeah.
Great. Listen, ladies, Ronnie, you got anything last words?
No, I echo what everyone else has said. Yanna, keep going. And I appreciate you guys both coming on.
Yeah.
So keep pushing forward.
Amanda's going to have to run real quick. We're going to have to get off of here. I want to thank both of you ladies really sincerely. I think that this is an incredibly powerful episode. I cannot thank you. And see how quick 54 minutes goes by. It's like a blink, right? But anyway,
Yeah.
Listen, maybe we'll do this again in the future. I listen, you're a friend, Yanna. I'm going to be pulling for you, and I'll be, if there's anything that we could ever do for you, then you reach out by all means, and we'll see what we can do for you. Okay. Thank you again to everybody that tuned in. We've got to get off here. We're beyond the wall. We've hit it. We've got to go. Next week, we are going to have a special guest. It'll be Jermaine Rogers from Mobile Homicide, Mobile, Alabama. First 48, guys. We're going to have him on the show next week, March the 1st. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.